Hey everyone. Hey, I thought I'd just shoot a quick members only video out. It's kind of a sneak preview of a video I'm doing about fisheries in Northern California, specifically salmon runs around Paradise, Butte Creek. But I saw a couple of cool things when I was putting this together, and I thought I'd just share them as kind of a little special feature. In the video, we talk about how dams have cut off the habitat for a lot of steelhead and other anadromous fish that go to the ocean to spawn. So the white streams here are the streams that still have ocean-going steelhead runs, and all the red streams are streams that no longer have steelhead. And a lot of them did before, all these dams in the foothills, Orville Dam, Shasta Dam. But what I wanted to show, which I think is kind of cool, is I found a 1951 air photo of Paradise. So I georeferenced that and I put it in here. And let's see. So as we know, Paradise burned in the campfire catastrophically. It was really heavy vegetation. So I think it's interesting to come here and look at what Paradise looked like kind of before it was really developed on a large scale. This is 1951, and there were pear and apple orchards all over the ridge then. It's got good soil. It's fairly warm in the summer. I mean, it's really warm in the summer, and it has good precipitation, and there was kind of a thriving apple and pear industry. So you can see all these orchards here. There was a major blight that came through I think in the late 50s that wiped out all these trees, and that kind of decimated the orchard industry, which may have made it desirable for development. I think that there was a lot of vacant land up here. But when you look at how cleared out the whole ridge is, if you compare that to like what it looks like now, this is post-fire. So the post-fire condition, in a lot of ways, is similarly open to what Paradise looked like 75 years ago. But if we look at what it looked like before the campfire, so you go back to the campfire is in 2018. So if we go back to, let's say, sorry, I got some. Yeah, so here's 2014 image. You can see this. There was just this real high density of oaks and pine trees. But looking at what it looked like, 75 years ago, it's substantially changed, especially kind of over in this part of town, where it grew in heavily with oaks and conifers. So I think that we tend to have a fairly short kind of window of into how landscapes should be. We think that what they look like now is what they always looked like before, and that in a lot of ways, Paradise now, the openness, the kind of exposure to sunlight and everything, it's more similar to what it looked like 75 years ago than what it looked like 15 years ago or even 10 years ago. Anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. And while we're on the kind of the historic imagery, this other video we're going to do, we're going to talk about kind of some of the land use history in Butte Creek. And Butte Creek Canyon right now looks like this. You got these really dry foothills, and then you've got this kind of lush riparian corridor here. The Butte Creek follows. In the 50s, this was all being mined with giant dredgers, these enormous machines that kind of just would create a pond and float on it and just work their way through the landscape. They were looking for gold. There wasn't a lot of gold, but the gold that was there was worth enough to dredge the landscape. I think this might be a dredger here in its own pond. So one of the lasting legacies of that dredging is that even now you can see there's big piles of gravel everywhere out here. And there are also these kind of ponds here that are left over from that dredging. And those are deeper, and those have a lot of bass and other warm water species in them. So when the creek, at high flows, when the creek cuts into those, or these can be both places that salmon can get into to rear, that is to grow larger, but they also, oftentimes when they get in there to rear, because it's kind of not the way that the creek used to be, they can get eaten by bass and other predatory fish. So I think it's just interesting to look at kind of how the legacy of things like dredging affect what the landscape looks like now. This is kind of a hillshade showing the topography and how it was disrupted by that dredging. Anyway, that's just a short little members only video. The new video on Butte Creek salmon's coming up next day or two. We're just doing a little proofing on it. All right, thanks.